The equip event is basically the equip weapon function, so that's whenever we're either pressing the buttons 1 through 0 or the scroll wheel. This is going to handle the whenever we equip it in our hand. And then we're also going to update. I think that's all for this. Now we'll just handle the basic functions. So the find slot is going to try to find see if that item ID is a slot or not. So this one, okay, so we're going to loop through the array, and if we find a slot, we're going to check its limit and see if it's greater than or less than the limit we have in the data table. If it is less than the limit in that slot, we're going to say we found a slot, and we're going to give an index. If it is already exceeded or is equal to the limit of that of the data table, we're going to say we didn't find a slot, but the index is going to be 0, and you'll see why we made it 0 in a little bit. And if we go through the for each loop, and we didn't find a slot, we're going to put we didn't find a slot, and the index is -1. Okay. Now, let's do the get limit. So the get limit just gets the limit size of that item in the data table. Add to stack basically just means we're going to add it to the array. This is checking if we find any empty slots available. So if any slots have a quantity of 0, then we are just going to say we found an empty slot, it's at this index, yada yada yada. If we don't find an empty slot, we're going to put no, we don't have an empty slot, the index is -1. This is basically creating a stack, so creating an element if we don't find if we find an empty slot. Get item data is just getting the data from the data table. The drop location is just basically dropping, setting the location in front of the player when we drop an item. So this transferring slots, we're going to give the source index, the source inventory, and the destination index. So we're going to find the content, basically, and if we find the content and we see that the item is equal to that item slot, the destination, we're going to basically add it to that stack. Yeah. And then we're just going to update both the destination inventory and the source inventory. And then if we don't find it, we're just going to add it to that array and then update it again. Yeah, so this basically handles the drag and drop function. The add to inventory, so we're going to find a slot. If we find a slot, we're going to either add to the stack or create a stack if we find an empty slot. We're going to update the inventory. If we can't find a slot, then we're just going to break out of this while loop and we just won't add it. This remove inventory is basically what it is. We're removing it from our inventory, and depending on if we remove all, if we remove all, that means we're going to set that array element to none and 0. And then we're going to check if it is used. So if it is used, we don't have that function yet because we don't use an item yet. We don't have consumables. So if we're removing it and it's not used, that means we're dropping the item in the world. Same thing goes for here. We're dropping the item into the world and we have the quantity as 1. And this is just checking the quantity of how many we're having. Okay. Equip weapons. So basically we're going to go through the array and we're going to unequip each weapon. So that means we're going to take everything out of our hands. And then we're going to basically find the index that we want to equip. And we're going to change the item equipped to true. We're going to get the player. We're going to set the child actor class and the right hand equipped to the class of the item that we want. And if it is an item base, we're going to use the equip function in that item base, and we're going to set up the equipped for the item. Use item is not usable right now because we don't have any consumables. This is leftover. This is basically the function for basically seeing if it's an item, if it's a weapon base, if it's not a weapon base, if it's not a seed, that means it's a consumable. That means we're going to remove it from our inventory, and we're going to just remember if the index is less than or equal to 9, we're just going to make sure we equip the weapon or equip the slot. So that way we make sure it stays highlighted. Save inventory. We're just going to get the game instance. We're going to store either the player inventory, the chest inventory, or the Dropbox inventory, whichever one it gets cast to. And then we're going to also save the current index equipped also, so that way you're not having to have that issue of the interact collider turning green at the beginning of the game again. I think that's it for the inventory component. The item component. So it's gonna have the customizable event handle interact. So this is what I was hoping people would use and customize to when they want to interact with something with the interface. So what this is basically saying is we're taking the player character, which is the player. We're going to get its inventory component, and if it's valid, we're going to add that item to our inventory. And then it's going to make a delay. I think there was supposed to be a sound to it. I'm not sure. I think I put it in the admin inventory, so I don't think this delay is necessary, but I will double check that. And then we're going to basically destroy the actor in the world. So this function is basically overridable. You can use it for anything. All you need to do is make sure that the item or actor you want to interact with has the interface, and that's what that handle, and then you just click this and you can customize it to whatever you need it to. Same thing with the look at. That's what I was hoping people would use, but it's okay. If it works, it works, I guess. What else? I don't think you guys need it, but if you guys do, let's find the items, the item base. So this is what gives it that item. I get the handle interact function is that item component, so you just add it here, and then you are able to set the row name and the quantity. Always make sure this quantity is 1 or greater if you want it to be picked up or not, because this is the item base. It's just 0 because we don't need to pick up an item base. So this equip function just basically makes the interact collider false. So basically we're not going to collide anymore because we don't need it to collide, because then that will mess up if it gets equipped. And then if it's unequipped or we drop it, the interact collider will be set back to collide with it, so that way we can trigger it. And I think that's pretty much it of what you guys need to know about the inventory and the inventory component. I hope I explained it really good. Sorry if I wasn't clear. This video is already like 27 minutes long. But if you have any more questions, I'll also link the playlist I used in the description box. That sounds so weird saying that, but that I used to create this inventory system. So he also explains it a little more clearly than I do. And then you can always message me too. Okay. Hope this explained it.